Going on, guys? My name is Zachary Doyer. I did my project on what is penetration testing. This is my intro. It's crack it, hack it, and rebuild it. The introduction to the question, what is penetration testing? So the agenda, I'm going to do an introduction, a little bit about me. Then we're going to talk about what is penetration testing, why is this so important, what are some tools and programs used, and what certs will help with this career path. So a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Zachary Doyer. I'm in my final semester at Southern Maine Community College. And then I'm going to be transferring to the SNHU to get my bachelor's in computer science. And then from there, move into the cybersecurity world, and potentially looking at something in penetration testing. So the biggest kind of tip that I was given in this field was to essentially network and to become an expert in the area that you want to move into after school. So for me, like I said, I want to do penetration testing, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to do a little bit of research and kind of just dive in a little bit more on what is penetration testing. All right. So again, the big question, what is penetration testing? I'm sure we're kind of all sick of learning about penetration testing. We've talked about it a lot, especially throughout most of our careers in college. So if this is a little redundant, I apologize. I tried to make it kind of short and sweet and to the point, but here we go. All right, so penetration testing. Penetration testing or pen testing is the ethically accepted way of attacking an infrastructure to find vulnerabilities. Pen testing was originated in the 1960s. It was used by the Air Force to conduct Tiger Team security tests. That was kind of the big one that I found kind of when I looked at the history of pen testing. And then in the early 2000s, it actually kind of got an entire structure built around it and became like a normal practice in cybersecurity, which I thought was pretty cool. Pen tests will use the same softwares that attackers will essentially be using on networks and kind of really any softwares. So it's kind of good to be able to actually do like a head-to-head combat when you're doing these pen testings. Like I said, using exactly what the people who are going to be trying to breach will be using. So that's pretty cool. During these attacks, they're looking to test the network strengths, find the weak points in the systems, and address the changes needed to better secure them. And then right here, this photo on the right, you can kind of just obviously see the rough steps of what pen testing is. Planning and scope, information gathering, vulnerability identification, attack execution, assessment of impact, document, and remediation. So it's a pretty good photo I found online that it kind of, like I said, broadened the whole spectrum of the steps that essentially takes. And that was pretty interesting to see that sun just kind of going out of my face there. It was nice. All right. So why is pen testing so important? Uh, what is the importance? As stated previously, it's a real world test against what these networks, applications, and softwares will actually be seeing once they're launched and being used in day to day life. And again, that networks, applications, softwares is just a broad scope. I mean, everything that's online is always under attack. The field you can go into or what you can be protecting with these pen tests is far beyond this list. As I read about online, it was said that due to these pen tests being so aggressive and being more in depth than your standard vulnerability assessments, you can exploit and see exactly how far a malicious attack can go. This gives the user an ethical hacker a better chance to not create a false positive. So, the accuracy of what we're exploring will be a lot better as opposed to just using like the vulnerability assessments. Assessments are essentially like what we think could happen, and the pen testing is like proving. It's like a hypothesis and then a conclusion. You know what I mean? Having these extensive penetration tests ran can also help decrease the risk of costly data breaches or other critical information being stolen. Having an ethical hacker crack the code and vulnerability is a much cheaper solution to a malicious one. Not just what they can get in and get, but also the repercussions like lawsuits and stuff that a lot of these companies face after these kind of attacks. So it does pay to make sure your network is safe on many different fronts. Another great outcome of pen testing is that it will help ensure the network or whatever piece of software is being tested is up to code. Making sure the correct protocols are in place and standards will greatly, of course, I can't see anything. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm all over the place. It'll be beneficial in more ways than one. Like I said, making sure everything's up to code, pretty much double checking the software or triple checking at this point. It not just protecting from a potential hacker, but you're making sure everything else is compliant too, which is nice. What are some tools and programs used? So right there's a photo of the Kali Linux system. I always thought that was a pretty cool icon, so I want to throw it in here. But some types of testing tools are things such as port scanning, vulnerability scanning, network sniffers, web proxies, and password cracker. I mean, the list for these goes on and on and on. I had to make this kind of short and sweet, or we'd be here for a 10-hour presentation, and no one wants to sit here and watch me, and I don't want to sit there and do it. So Kali Linux system is an operating source program, or sorry, an open source program designed for pen testing. Some tools used are, I'm going to probably butcher some of these names, and I apologize. Armitage, Nmap, Wireshark, Metasploit, John the Ripper, SQL Map, and many others. I found this pretty cool because I'm also in an ethical hacking class right now. And I've actually been using some of these tools, so it's kind of cool to do some more background research on top of what we've learned in class. So that was pretty fun for me. These tools are all used and intended for different vulnerability checks, such as social engineering weaknesses, open ports, asset discovery, unencrypted traffic, misconfiguration, and again, many others. The list for these goes on and on. This could have been, like a 10 to 20 slide topic all in itself. Like I said, I just kind of went with the top bulletins for most of the points and just kind of wanted to get that to you guys. Some web-based utilities that can be used to practice ethical hacking are TryHackMe, Hack the Box, VulnHub, and many others. These are just kind of, I'm not sure that they're all free, but I think that there's a couple that are free to essentially go on and attempt this stuff yourself. I haven't personally done it yet, but I think after I graduate and kind of take a semester to unwind and kind of catch up on life, to make sure I stay kind of relevant, I'll probably try some of these out myself. So, what are some helpful certificates or certifications and trainings? Again, broad list. Pretty much from what I've on multiple seminars, what I've gathered is essentially attack the ones that are most relevant to what you want to do. Like I said, become an expert in the field you want to move into. But that doesn't limit you to what can make you stand out as opposed to a different candidate. Obviously, having I would say, like critical certifications and schooling, obviously going to put you out there. But if you have all the extras and they see you're kind of open-minded and just kind of curious about the entire cyber realm, I think that'll also kind of help bump you up. But so some helpful certs, the CompTIA Network Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, CompTIA ITF. I don't really know much about that one. The first two, we've talked a lot about that third one. I'd probably do a little bit more research on CompTIA, Pen Test Plus, the ECPPT, and again, many others. Some helpful trainings, practices, be familiar with the Linux system, and I guess be really fluent in Microsoft, Apple, all these different operating systems that we'll be using throughout our entire career. Just be super mindful, I guess. Just do your research, play with the systems, figure out all the ins and outs, backdoors, all that stuff. Understand Python, PowerShell, fluent HTML and SQL. All these can be practiced and studied at the sites I provided in the previous slide. And again, there was a list of many others. Those are just kind of the first, you click on, it's like the top three, the top four, whatever. Those were just kind of up there. So I would assume they probably have more support behind them, more updates, stuff like that. Ooh. These are my sources I found, kind of what is pen testing. I probably should have put these as a link, but I'll kind of scroll through so you can see the links if you want to go back and check them out. These are just clickable links. I probably should have done them in a different format, but um, you can scroll back, you can see the links there. But again, thank you guys. My name is Zachary Doyer. If you guys have any questions or emails or kind of want to, touch up on anything, there's my email. Feel free to shoot me an email. I hope you guys are having a great semester, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys.